Welcome to Pawpaw TV. Today we present an original program, One-on-One with Jerry McLaughlin. He discusses his life's work with Richard Lund. Today's program is brought to you by Gogees.com. Gogees.com. Your eyes will love you. This material is for educational purposes only. If you are sick, see a doctor. Maybe you can find one that speaks herbal medicine. And now, One-on-One with Jerry McLaughlin.
Another lady took 40 capsules at once, but the effective amount is just 4 capsules a day, taken one at a time with food. And so...
Why do you take it with food?
There are 2 reasons. It prevents the upset stomach that might occur, and because it's mixed with a little food then. But the second reason is a biochemical reason, is that then there's a little blood glucose there for those cells to start sucking in some glucose, those cancer cells, okay? And when they do that, they're going to take in the pawpaw compound and you're going to zap their mitochondria. So there's a biochemical reason for doing that as well. So I say take it with a little food.
Okay. So who were the first people you gave it to?
There were 3 people with 3 ladies with terminal ovarian cancer, and they volunteered. They all signed the forms, and we had all this approved through an institutional review board, although you don't have to as a supplement. And that board looked at the the safety factors with all the data that accumulated and all that stuff. And a couple of those folks that were on our board had previously been on other boards, and they're outside people. And so we put it in those 3 ladies, and they all threw up. So I didn't guess, I tried to calculate the concentration that people could tolerate based on what the dogs could tolerate. Well, it turns out that dogs can tolerate a lot more disgusting stuff evidently than people can. So so these ladies all 3 vomited. So we cut the dose in half, and that's how we ended up with 12.5 milligrams. And but these ladies were pretty irpy anyhow because of the chemo that they'd been on, and so they probably were not good candidates. But in the state of Nevada, there's a law that if you have a terminal cancer patient and they and their doctor agree on an experimental substance, they can be given that substance without having to go through investigation of the drug applications and IRBs and all the stuff that makes prescription drug today cost $900 million before you can get it to market. I mean, this country is overregulated.
You're saying that it's about $900 million to get a drug to market?
Right. That's the latest figure. I mean, it was 300 million here just a few years ago, so 900 million now. Now you wonder why prescription drugs cost so much, and it's because of the bureaucracy that's been created. You got this huge Food and Drug Administration that wants railroad cars full of data, showing that it doesn't do this or it does do that. And, come on, let's just get at it and attack problems instead of worrying about, all the regulations and stupidity.
In your dealing then next, after the 3 ladies, you gave it to more people. How many people were involved, and what were they facing? What kind of problems were they?
In the state of Nevada with Dr. Jim Forsyth in Reno, and he's the director of the Reno Cancer Screening and Treatment Center. And Jim, over a 2-year period, gave me 20 patients that were terminal cancer patients. And all of them signed a form. There was a consent form and everything that said they would be guinea pigs for this project. And that was in October of 2001 when we first got started. And right away we lost 7 patients who I think were too late for the material. But 13 of those patients are still alive. And they're still stabilized, as Dr. Forsyth calls it. And at this point, 2 years later, I think he would have anticipated that most of them would have been gone. So I feel that was an initial success. But in the meantime, we got other people with cancer who volunteered, and doctors who were hearing about this and were desperate to find something new for their patients to try. And all in all, in a 2-year period, we ran it through 94 cancer patients, many of whom were terminal, and most of those folks are still going. We lost a few.
Mm-hmm.
My wife just told me, I had a patient in Poland who had a brain tumor, was supposed to die in February, and he just died a couple of weeks ago. And I was sending him the stuff for free, and his wife was keeping us informed in Polish about his progress. And in June, for example, said that he was feeling really quite well, the best he'd felt in a long time. So, but again, he just started taking it, I believe, in about January. We sent him the material, so we got it too late.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, still, we gave that fellow several more months of life. And I always used to tell my students that the definition of life is the interval between birth and death. It's very
Mm-hmm.
simple. And if we can extend the interval, then that's what we do with our drugs and with our supplements and with all of our efforts in the healthcare areas. We try to extend people's intervals and give a few more weeks or a few more months of life to someone, and that measures our success.
Now, I've often heard that the concern on part of the medical establishment with unusual or novel treatments for cancer or other serious diseases is the fear that the person will walk away from proven and known treatments that are effective.
Right.
Just as a scientist, as a researcher over the years, people come to you on a private basis and say, "What should I do, Jerry? Should I stop going to my doctor? Should I forget what he's telling me?" Or what do you talk to people? How do you say? How do you answer them?
Well, listen, I watched my sister take the best that the MDs had to offer.
Mm-hmm.
She went through the chemo, she went through the surgery, she went through the radiation, and she died.
Yeah.
Okay? And this made me mad.
Mm.
I've seen Dr. Forsyth lecture with a lady in a similar circumstance who had breast cancer. It took my sister 5 years and 10 months to die. And at the time I saw Dr. Forsyth talking about this lady, she'd been alive for 9 years, taking supplements and controlling her nutrition. Showed pictures of the breast with the tumor initially, and then with the scar today. The lady's still alive today. Which one would you choose?
I see what you're saying, that people have to make reasonable decisions then based on...
Now, I think that the pawpaw material... Now, Dr. Forsyth stated to me that it doesn't make any difference whether his patients are taking chemo or taking supplements. He can tell me one thing is going to be true, and that is that they'll all be taking pawpaw.
I see.
So I think pawpaw is going to find its place as an adjuvant with chemo because of these beneficial effects, as I've described, in preventing the multiple drug resistance development and in stymieing or thwarting this mechanism. And also, those who choose to do supplements in pawpaw will work well alone. We've demonstrated that. We can see that in the mouse studies that were conducted, and we've seen it in the people. The pawpaw will work if you just give it by itself.